What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Tell Me More podcast presented by Major League Success. I have the one and the only Leah Ackerman with me. Leah, thank you so much for coming on the show and
Thank you,
taking time out of
Tom.
your day. Leah's with I Care Home Group and Cutler Real Estate. And as I saw that you messaged me yesterday, just making sure that we were still good for today, I was just racking my brain of just kind of our relationship over the past 11 years. And I think you were probably the first person I ever met in real estate that was a preferred partner, on the other side, right?
Yes,
And,
yes.
I just remember Ryan took me into your guys' talent office over there in Dublin and met you and Michelle, and I think that was it. So
It feels so long ago. Time flies, and as we all evolve and spend our day together right now, looking back, it was great. It's just life is
I was
good.
I was a lot younger and skinnier then.
Yeah,
Ryan
both
Ryan
of us
has
were.
Ryan has since introduced me to, real estate life and
Yes.
what that does to you.
I know. It was funny. I was at the New Albany Chamber event earlier today, and we were talking about food and, feeding people. Everybody will come. And that's definitely the case for realtors, that you have food, people will be there. So, yes,
Well,
we've had
no,
a good
Leah, thank
journey together.
yeah, yeah. And it's one of those things I was like, I I know a little bit about Leah's background but I don't know a ton, and so I'm glad that you're on
Thank
because
you.
I want to get to learn your journey of getting to this spot in the business and kind of where you want to get to. Let's start from the beginning.
Okay.
Growing
All right.
up,
Yeah.
what was life like for you?
Yeah.
Leading up, growing up, middle school, high school years.
Yep. So grew up in Northeastern Ohio, and I would say to me, it was a normal childhood. My dad was very much an entrepreneur, and just a very, very much a go-getter. Got up in the morning, would be gone all day. We always ate together as a family, whether it was at 8 o'clock at night or 9, 7, whatever it was. And that was important to my parents, and not knowing at the time that was, it's less likely to happen these days for families. But for us, my dad was really pounding the pavement, as we would say. So, um, grew up in a very small town, and was pretty much the tomboy of the neighborhood. I had all boys in my neighborhood. I had one girl. She was more into dolls. I was more into football and backyard football playing, and really, and I think that has definitely helped me through my life, because I can relate to guys really, really well because of the way I was raised and just my upbringing. I have an older brother, and he's 2.5 years older than me, and really pretty normal. We did church on Sundays, and after church we went to dinner or lunch, and not much on that. It was really good. I had a really good upbringing, great parents, and from there, how far do you want me to go into?
Just high school, going into
Yeah, high
college and
school. Yeah, high school was good. I started, I was that tomboy, but then, it started changing a little bit, and was active in my church. I rang handbells, which is like a past and that's probably why I have like these great arms, is because I played bells forever. And then led that into even my, prior to us moving to Columbus, teaching younger kids and adults to play handbells and all that. So that's a background of mine. I love music, and I minored in music at college. We graduated from Marietta College. Todd and I both did, my husband and I, and my major was marketing. And I remember my dad saying, "What are you going to do with that music? Like, what's that about?" And I said, "It's just my outlet, so I really don't use it too much anymore. I listen to it a lot, but I don't sing or play the piano pretty much anymore. So, but that's a piece that most people don't know about me.
Yeah, no, that's awesome.
Yeah,
Man, I totally forgot about the whole handbell thing in church.
yeah, right.
My stepdad's my stepdad's a pastor, so I grew up in the church, and
Yeah,
doing
right.
that stuff all the time.
Yes, yeah. So, yeah, we toured all over. Like we were one
Oh
of the,
wow,
yeah, we were quite the deal. And, to be in middle school and high school, and we would go to Orlando and played in the international or national handbell thing. And there was it was really cool. It's a little piece of my upbringing that I really, really enjoyed. So
oh, that's awesome.
it was,
Did you ever tag along with your dad on what he was doing? I mean, is that kind
oh
of
yeah,
did you
yes.
have did you enjoy that?
I did. It was at the time, we didn't see my dad a lot. My mom was raising
Right.
us and my dad was very busy. So when we had an opportunity to spend a day with him or run around, it was really, really cool and special. And so my dad's business, like I said, he was the entrepreneur. So he, he did title and he worked for one of the main companies here in Ohio called Midland Title back in the 70s. And in 81, he started his own company called Commerce Title and ran that. My brother was in it. I was in it. I was still in high school and then went to college. And then after that, my mom did the payroll. Like it was a very much a family organization, but it was very successful. Had, excuse me, had 5 offices in and around Summit and Stark County. That's jumping forward quite a bit in my adult life as well. But it grew into a passion that all of us in our family loved, doing the title work and getting to really work with agents and helping them. And that's where now it's kind of come full circle for me,
Yeah.
being an agent myself. So
Yeah. No, that's awesome. You're from Canton, right? You're a
yeah,
Canton girl. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Actually,
It's
Louisville, outside of Canton. Yeah.
I lived there until I was about 2 years old.
Oh,
I was
really?
born in Alliance, and
Okay.
my mom and my biological dad had a house there in Louisville, so I stayed there till I was about 2.
So we might
Don't
have been
remember much
there
about
around
it.
the same time.
Yeah, don't
That's
remember much about it, but
Yeah,
but
yeah. I mean, just very small town, we would leave in the morning on our bikes, run around all day.
yeah,
When the street lights came on, we'd go back home, and that was our daily thing. We went everywhere around the town and didn't worry about anything at that
yeah,
point in our life. Walked to school and it wasn't just I think it was probably a mile. You know how they say it's always
yeah.
less than what we think it was. But
Well, it's always
yeah,
funny
we did love
when and you'll get this. It's always funny when you talk to someone from Northeast Ohio,
that.
right? It's pretty much basically anywhere from Ashland to
To
Youngstown,
Cleveland,
all the way up to Cleveland.
all the way
Where are you
around.
from? Northeast
Yeah,
Ohio. It's like, okay,
Northeast
well,
Ohio.
which part?
Yeah, this whole thing it encompasses absolutely. Yeah,
um,
and there's a lot of people from Columbus that live in Columbus now that are from that area. It's amazing,
yeah.
and a lot of people are moving to Columbus
S-
from that area.
So when you went to college for marketing,
Hmm.
was the goal to eventually utilize that to kind of get into the family business, or was it like I don't want to deal with anything title related. Because when I've had several real estate agents on here that their parents were agents, and it's been like split 50-50. They're like,
Yeah.
no, I never wanted to get into it. And now they are
Mhm.
into it. Or it was like, oh yeah, like I loved it, and that's what I was
Yeah.
going to do.
It's a great question. I knew from early on that I really was a people person. I liked being around others. Marketing seemed to be kind of that business gateway to that, to sales, to I really wasn't into the market research, the marketing, that side of it. So when I applied for jobs out of college, or I was in college, I looked at a few marketing companies. The end goal was not to work at my parents' place, and it wasn't because I didn't want to. I just had my maiden name's Jones, and that Jones part of me was like, I can do this on my own. I can get my own job. I can do my thing, and so. Uh, Todd interviewed with Allstate on campus, and he was interviewing for a claims job. And during the interview, he said, well, you've got to meet my girlfriend. She would be great in sales. So had an interview with Allstate. We both got hired on at Allstate, and we moved to Toledo after graduation. That's where our jobs took us. So he was in claims. I had worked temporarily with another agent, and then they're like, hey, you should have your own office, right? So I set up for them an office in Perrysburg. And about a year into it, rookie of the year, all this stuff, and I wasn't making any money. It just was really a tough time. Todd, was in claims and had he paid for most of the meals. So we were at this time. So Todd and I grew up together. That's another thing that I should fill in. I've known him since second grade, and so we did not date all that time, but now we're at a point where like, okay, we probably should get married, right? So we got engaged in March of 91, and we both knew we didn't want a long engagement. So we got married that year in October. So our 31st anniversary is coming up this October.
Congratulations.
Yes. And, but we figured out what our short amount of time, and no offense to those in Toledo, but we didn't want to live in Toledo. So we started looking for out of Allstate to either stay with them and open places back in the Akron Canton area. Both of our families are there. We thought to start our life, why prolong it? We really want to be back in Akron Canton area. So we got married in October, and they had, at the time when I moved back right before we got married, there were no jobs at Allstate. They were really kind of going through this change between, like they do very often. They're going to take the agency away, whatever. Anyway, long story short, I had been working at the title company, my parents at Commerce Title, over the years, answering the phone, all these things. And my dad said, hey, we need help. Go to Fairlawn, help out, and I excelled. Like I loved it. Clients loved, the agents and the mortgage people loved me because I was, a people person and doing a task that most don't, they get it done. And I have the gift to gab and chat with people. So it just turned into this like, okay, this kind of works. And I loved it. So I was pretty much, that's where I landed. Todd, there was a hiring and transfer freeze at that time in the 90s with Allstate, and a lot of the companies had done that. So he had interviewed we had a great friend that was at Nationwide, and he said, Todd, I can get you in, I can get you a job, this whole thing. What are you doing after you get married? And so, mind you, he's in Toledo, I'm in Akron at the time, and we get married. And so he had an interview right before we got married, actually the day before our wedding. He had an interview, and they said at Nationwide, we're going to get you in. Don't get an apartment. And we're like, okay. Don't sign a lease is basically what they said. So we had decided we were going to live in Norwalk, Milan, Ohio, which is just south of Sandusky. And he would drive to Toledo, and I was driving to Akron every day. And we did that. We lived in the O'Connell Lodge right on 250. And we thought it would just be for a couple weeks. Well, that we got married in October, went on our honeymoon, came back, and we were still hanging out at the O'Connell Lodge until May. And then and every week, or every couple of weeks, Nationwide would be like, hey, we're almost there, we just need to get through budget, whatever, all these things. So we lived in a hotel. We had never opened a lot of our wedding gifts, like they were sold to my parents, like this whole thing. It was just dysfunctional as it could get. I was very busy at the title company. It was during a refi boom in 92, 93. Those that have been in the business for a while will remember that. And I was working night and day and loving it, but, really wasn't a new wife kind of thing. Right. So long story short, we rent an apartment, we get a townhouse, and within that week that we moved in, our parents moved us in. Todd got the call. So we packed up all our stuff, and we lived with my mom and dad that summer. And we actually bought one of the parade of homes in the fall. And so we had that house and moved in there, lived there, had Brock a year later. Or had Brock, a year. No, we didn't have Brock until 94. So, and then a year later after that, we moved into another home in 97. Liz was born. And from there, we came to Columbus in 05. So through Nationwide.
I was going to say, just job relocation.
Yeah.
And then, so did you, so in 05, did you then just stay in title? Is that kind of like the path that you just stuck with?
Yes. Or? So good question. So 05, when we moved down here, so prior to us moving, our company transitioned. My dad had sold it to First American. He was starting into semi-retirement. I had moved through management, sales, really was doing a lot with the company. And when we moved in 05, I really wasn't sure if I was going to work. We were moving down here. It was okay. Let's, really focus on our family and Todd. And then First American called me from Columbus and said, hey, we need some help. We just lost a rep. And I didn't know anybody. I mean, when I tell you I didn't know anybody in Columbus, I knew the only person and one of the first people I got to meet was Joyce Reinhardt, because she had worked for good friends of ours in the title business. And he said, you got to get with Joyce, and Joyce used to work for this guy. So she was one of the first people that I actually met in Columbus, but I literally knew no one. And I thought, well, okay, I'll go, I can do sales. I've done sales all my life. And I think one of the coolest things that we have in Columbus, that in the real estate community, that other places do not have, are those weekly meetings. And what a jump start that gave me to get to know people. But, when we moved down here, I told First American, I said, I'm going to take my kids to school and I'm going to pick my kids up after school, and you'll get me between those times. And they're like, we don't care. It's good. And I had been very successful up in Akron, and accolades for, salesperson, of Ohio and that kind of stuff. So I had a good reputation, I guess. So they were like, whatever you give us will be great. Right. So, and I stuck, I stuck to that, even though the kids will say, well, you're the last one to get me, this whole thing.
I'm
They
just
always,
running 10 minutes late. It's okay.
yeah,
I'm there
right,
though.
right. I'm like, listen, you're fine. You're safe, But so I did that through, I was with First American, and where you and I picked up is when I went to Talon. And with Talon, I had more of an opportunity to really do what I loved, and that was building a branch, being really involved from the start. I mean, when we reopened the Talon office for in Dublin, it there was, we had no furniture. Like, I love that part of it.
Yeah.
I love the idea of building something and starting from scratch. So it was really, it fulfilled me. It really did. And Talent, from a standpoint of the marketing piece, for years, I was creating marketing for agents, and that was really perfect for me in that role. Prior to the internet, we did postcards and we did the Haynes directory, and we would look up addresses for people, and I did that in Akron. So really helping agents grow their business was my wheelhouse. So it made sense with Talon that they were doing that, and that worked for me as well. So it was good. It was really
That's
good.
awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Lead me up to getting your real estate license.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I was doing my thing at Talon, and I was working a lot. I was at a point in my life where the kids, let's see, I've been licensed almost 10 years now. So the kids, they were high school age, and they were driving, and I got a call. I got a call from Andy Camp at Cutler Real Estate, and he was on his way down to Columbus from the Canton area. And the history with Cutler and Andy is we grew up together. Our families, we've known each other, and we would golf together at outings and things like that. Didn't do a lot of business together, but he and I were, the kids, we were the product of, the real estate industry. So he called me, and he said, hey, we're getting ready to, we're talking to a company, and I'd really want you to come work with me. And never to say no or turn down an opportunity, I said, all right, I'm really not interested, but I will meet with you. So we got together and continued our talks, and they went on for like 7 or 8 months. Title was really what I knew. And that was a leap of faith for me to really process through what does this new life look like, right? And I remember pretty much committing like the middle of that summer, and it was 2012. That summer, thinking, I don't want to ever, in the title business, the last thing you want to do is leave your team in the middle of the summer. So the day after Labor Day, I went and talked to Joe, and said, you know what, I have a really cool opportunity, and I'll work as long as you want me to. And he said, well, how about the next 20 years? And I said, how about a month? And from that point, then I came into Cutler Real Estate in about October. So it was good. I didn't want to be sitting on a rocking chair. And I've said this story before. I did not want to be sitting on a rocking chair late in my life and thinking, you had an opportunity to do something different, and you took easy. You didn't take, the challenge. And I'm so thankful that I did. I'm really happy where I am right now. So
No, that's awesome. When you made that transition over, supporters, doubters, obviously yourself, a high achiever, right, throughout your whole, career and all of that up to that point, but this is a completely different side,
Yeah.
I think business is business, right? Like sales is sales. Like you're just selling a different product, but
Mhm.
you also had a family, you had kids, right?
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
cha- making it, you can call it a career change, right? It's
Yeah, it
completely
was.
different, completely
Yes.
different.
Mhm. Mhm. So the easing into the real estate was I pretty much just took off my title hat and put on a real estate hat, and I was still helping agents. So when I was hired into Cutler, it was for leadership, growing the company, taking it from the agents. They had 50 agents that they all stayed. They had purchased a Prudential Metrics brokerage,
Hmm.
and all the agents stayed. And so helping and again, I like to build things, right? So being a part of something that was on the ground level here, and it was their first opportunity in Columbus, Cutler. Um, so I did, the recruiting, coaching, mentoring, office manager, and did that up until 2018. So on the real estate side, so I got my license right away, that
Yeah.
was the right thing to
Right.
do, and so I had the luxury of being able to do real estate and still had a full-time job, if
Hmm.
that makes sense.
Yep.
So,
Yep.
just really e not easing into it, but taking it as it came. So,
Right.
as I was helping other agents, my heart is always to do that first, and that's what I was paid to do. So, I really wasn't pursuing, real estate as a realtor, a
Yeah.
full-time realtor, because of my full-time job. So, in 2018, the beginning of that year, I was being tugged to not do it anymore, and in my heart, it
Yeah.
just, you come to a point where it's time, and I knew it was time, and for so many reasons, I think we all stay somewhere that we shouldn't, and there are opportunities that, if we're open to it, can lead to so much more fulfillment in your life. And I had that, and I took the chance. So in May of 18, um, I said, I don't want to manage anymore. I want to step away from the full-time gig. And I opened a consulting business. So I have commerce consulting, and I consult and coach to title companies around the country, and then also do real estate. So that was interesting. I hired a business coach right away. I completely believe in coaching, no matter if it's a health coach, business coach, whatever coach it is. For me, I need to be held accountable. I like accountability. And so um, I hired a coach right away, and she helped me through that process of really setting up my business in a right way. Um, mind you, I had always had, I had a full time job. I always had a side gig. My dad, to get ahead, you always need a side gig. So all my life, I've had a side gig, and I didn't even share. I used to own a boutique in Canton.
Okay.
I came home one day from a trip, and I said to Todd, I said, I'm going to open a boutique. And he's like, wait, what? I said, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I went to Barnes and Noble. I bought books on how to run a boutique and how to order stuff. And, um, and I did it. And I had a boutique in Canton. It was called Misty's Place after Elissa, and MS period E's Place. And that was fun. The thing about title and about something that you're really good at, you become I always say you can do it with your eyes closed, right? I mean,
Right.
it's so easy, but I know people like me, we need a challenge all the time. So being able to, I had a full-time manager that ran the store for me. It was just a really cool time. I flew to New York and I'd buy clothes and I'd go to California and Las Vegas, and it was just fun.
Yeah.
And I think you need to have the fun, right? And so after I opened it, we moved to Columbus. So I ended up selling it to the manager, and it's all good. But that was something that I did. So my side hustle through the full time was real estate, and the same with
Yeah.
the consulting. So open commerce consulting, still had the real estate business. Real estate's really started to pick up for me in a very great way. And then COVID hit, and my consulting, nobody was going into offices.
Yeah.
So my focus changed, right? So it was less
Right.
consulting, and I was like, oh, well, let's put more thought into real estate.
Real estate. Yeah.
And from the time of the pandemic and being when we were essential, it really changed my focus. And what you focus on expands. And the real estate blew up, and my brand blew up, and it just became. I had just come back from a Cheplack event. I met Jon Cheplack. Many of you, I know you know him.
Yep. Yep.
So through Cutler, I met Jon because he was coaching recruiters.
Yeah.
So I met Jon in 14 or 15, like
I'll say, because I think you brought him to Cutler when we were
yeah,
there.
right. Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yeah. So that was in his earlier days too. So
Yeah.
he has just done phenomenal. I mean, he's and so deserving of it. What he speaks is just so good.
Yeah.
What he
If you
speaks
want
of.
accountability
Yeah. Oh,
and no BS, no excuse. There you
oh
go.
yeah. You get that with John for sure. For sure. So I had just come back from one of his events, and it was all about branding, and all of us just so it's hard to figure out your brand. I really think at times you walk and talk, but until you can come up with um, how it resonates to others,
Yeah.
that's what I found myself. And being a marketing person, I'm like, figure it out. Well, it, I had to be with a coach that had spent so much time with me. It became a natural thing for her to say, this is what your brand is. You care.
Yeah.
You care. And I was like, yeah, I do care. I know I care, but is it that simple to just say I care?
Right.
And for me, that's my brand. So it really came out of one of the cool things that came out of COVID when we were on lockdown and we were essential is I went around to all my clients and past clients and dropped off like a DIY project,
Yeah.
and they put food and non-perishables on their front porch, and I texted all of them the night before, and I'd say, okay, I'm coming to your neighborhood. And we had conversations from the porch, and being able to connect, and we weren't connecting. And I'm not a Netflix watcher, hang out, sit around. It was just not my nature.
Yeah.
So during COVID, I was up, I was showered, I was out the door, and everybody in my family's like, "Where are you going?" I'm like, "I'm out." I don't care if I drive around in my car all day. And what happened was my business just,
Yeah.
it really people had time to search. I mean, the story is the same pretty much for the agents during that time as people just were ready to make life changes. And we are just now, I think, settling down from all of that
Yeah.
in business. So it really did change our whole thought process on our branding and our focus, and everything we do is help our brand, and brought Alyssa on, and she's been a huge contributor to our success. So yeah, it's cool.
So are you building a team now?
So
Because I
yeah,
know you like to build.
yeah, I do. So here's where I'm at in my life. I want to set and make sure that our family is good. And so having Elissa come on, I really want her to and she agrees. It's not my vision, but her vision. And right now, I am the front person, and I'm the money girl, and we're building it. But it's ultimately her decision as to how she wants to take this. You know, I uh, I enjoy being with my parents as much as I can be with them. They're 2 hours away.
Yeah.
Right now, because they're in Northeast Ohio, they're 2 hours away by a flight when they go to Florida. So, I really, that's a huge part of my life, is to be able to be with them when I need to. And having Elissa here really does afford me that flexibility. I love Hilton Head. I love traveling with my husband, and being able to run a successful business doesn't come uh, without the right people in
Yeah.
place to do that. So she definitely is. She's a mini me and mini Todd, and she's has grown up listening to me, and how I have done my business all my life. So that's been great to have her. We do have an admin that works like 15, 20 hours a week. We have a transaction coordinator who I can't speak. Uh, she's just amazing. You know her very, very well, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say her name or not, but she. One thing I've learned is throughout my career, no matter where I was, is I can do more um, with people's help. And that's the goal of eye care, is can we grow it to a point where we're helping more people, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to a certain point in my transactions that I was like, I can't keep up with this, right? So I hired a transaction coordinator. That was really the first. Elissa does all our marketing. She handles the videos on all the stuff that we do and put out. She handles that. Her degrees in marketing communications. She went to Marietta College too, so we have kept it in the family as a legacy child for school, and she's doing great things for us. And Brock goes around, our oldest, and he'll pick up signs, and it's a family affair,
Yeah.
right? To do it right, and to take care of people the way we want to. We really get Todd on board. He'll bring in stuff for an open house. Like, they always say yes, and I'm so appreciative to the family for just whatever I'm doing. We're doing it. We're doing an autism walk next month, and everybody's helping out. So
Yeah.
it's important.
No, that's awesome. I talk to agents all the time. It's like, you have the goals and the ambitions and the dreams, but you're not going to be able to do it all yourself.
Yeah.
And that's from you maybe building out your team, but it's also your preferred partners, and why it's important to find
Yeah.
alignment with them, and
Yes.
not just the main ones, not just title and
Yeah.
lending, but I mean insurance, movers, all of those things.
Yes. Yeah.
Contractors, how many
Mhm.
calls do we get as agents? Hey, I need this fixed. I need
Yes.
this. It's
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
just can't do it all, right? And
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
that's one of the things that I tell people, that Ryan taught me from the very beginning is just
Yes.
leverage and creating leverage and
Yeah.
finding. It's the three P's. It's people, process. Well, I guess I should say systems, people, and process, right?
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
and finding the right people, putting them on the right seat on the bus is so important.
It is.
I want to back up real quick
Yeah.
because it's happened. It seems like it's happened a couple times. Was there something that always wanted you to be open minded, to look at something different to maybe make you pivot a little bit? Like, was there something like just was it the entrepreneurship that, is kind of like in your bones to be like, oh no, I got to try this, or I got that challenge. Was it that,
Yeah. Well, I definitely love the chase, like the chase of clients, the chase of houses, the chase of clothing. Like to me, it keeps me going, right? I
Yeah.
get up in the morning and I work out, I do my thing. And, I, I think it was, being raised in a family that was always on,
Yeah.
like, and my dad, I have so many great quotes and things of my dad and my mom. And I'm so fortunate and thankful that they're still with us and, we can still gain wisdom from them. But my dad would, say, just, you got to be consistent. And because there would be times where we'd have clients that weren't consistent, right? They were
Yeah.
nice one time, you talked on the phone, and then the next time, it was like, okay, who is this person on the
Yeah.
phone? And I struggled with that as a kid, as a young adult, because my dad was always consistent. Like my mom was always consistent. They were, my dad never, I don't think he ever had an enemy, and to be so successful in business and to watch that every time I'd run into somebody, to hear them say, oh my gosh, your dad is just such a great guy. You're so fortunate. This whole thing and this being that we have inside of us, to be consistent, is so important. And we find that people gravitate towards that, right? When you are
Yeah.
consistent, when every day is a great day. And it's very rare that I am not okay. It's just my mental outlook on life. But if I'm not okay, you're not going to see me. You're not going to hear from me. And I think that's one thing that I really learned from my dad was, if you're not showing up 100%, then you don't show up. You don't, and so there are times where I am not 100% and my friend will call me out. There'll be some
Yeah.
like, I know you're not okay. And I'm like,
Right.
why? How can you tell? Because there are times, right? But, to really enjoy life and be thankful, even in your worst days. We all have them,
Yeah.
between situations and health and all that. But I know that the outlook and is so important for all of
Yeah.
us.
No, that's awesome. I always, when I'm talking to agents, there's always something, and that's why I always like to start from the beginning, right? There's always something that
Mhm.
happened either, earlier in their life or in a different career that has
Mhm.
had huge impact on the real estate business.
Mhm.
And I can already tell it was the entrepreneurship of
Yeah,
the
we had
chase, right?
yeah.
The chase.
Yeah, so, in school where they tell you can sell this stuff, and I don't remember what we were selling, but
Yeah.
they had a pink skateboard, and my parents would not, like, they were like, you don't need a skateboard." I'm like, "I think I want one?" And I can't tell you how hard I worked. I used to have a paper route, like, we did paper, just that. I hated that paper route, but you know what it made me do? I had to get up and do it, and it was just a weekly thing, and everybody
Yeah.
got it for free, so the barking dogs, the whole thing, and, my brother and I both didn't like it, but we did it. We made, I don't know what we made at this point, but that skateboard and that paper route, 2 things that we couldn't really get out of. Like, I had to find somebody else to take over the route before, my parents were like, no, you have to do this." So I think it was what was instilled in me was hard work equals some type of reward.
Yeah.
And, it continues to show up, you know,
No,
it continues. So,
that's awesome.
yeah.
So I
Yeah.
want to fast forward to the
Yeah.
future. I want to look
Mm.
into the future.
Mhm.
What's one thing that you're looking to accomplish over the next 12 months?
Yeah. So, one thing that the last couple years, my, obviously the dollar amount has increased. I've hovered around a certain number of transactions. Now having Alyssa come on, I'm looking up because we have a whiteboard, or two huge whiteboards in my office, and I stare at them all the time, and it says in contract, monthly goals, all that stuff. And I we have goals. We have goals, and we're going to accomplish them, and we're going to do things that are always comfortable, and get out of our way to accomplish those. So we have big goals, but I think for me over the next 5 years is really to allow this little company of ours to take its own life, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I talk a lot about I'm the rainmaker. We all need to be rainmakers, and watching us transition as a family into that is important. And um, we're running the track, you know, and my time on that track's a little less than most, right? If I'm doing it right. And
Yeah.
so I fast tracked a lot, and we want to bring Elissa and others into that fold. But I know that wasn't an exact answer to
I
your
love it.
SMART goal, but it's our overall vision
Yeah.
over the next, 5, 7 years.
Yeah.
Yeah, is to
That's
watch that. So, a lot of what I say is not possibly the direction. Listen, are very open. We're very close. You know that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
We're very close. And my goal is to see her vision out. Really for her, what an opportunity. She's, similar to you, just in the runway that you have on the track, all
Yeah.
those things, it's way longer. And to watch her carry this on is pretty cool, to be in my seat and to remember the girl in the back, and for Brock too. I don't know what, life holds for Brocker, but it's just to be at this point in my life and to see how blessed we are as a family, and just to watch our kids take their life and run with it is pretty cool. So
No, that's awesome. What is what's your legacy goal?
yeah.
I heard this question the other couple. It's probably been a month or so now, and a lot of times we talk about 1 year goal, 5 year goal, 25-year goal. But
Mhm.
Mike Doyle, who's a good friend of mine and also an agent in the business, he was reading a book. I forget which one it was, and the question was, "What's the 100-year goal?
Mm.
What's that goal after
Mhm.
you're no longer here?"
Mhm.
That you want to hit and
Mhm.
leave behind. And so I've just started asking, right? Because
I like
like
it.
for me, it's the legacy, right? That's what matters, and
Mhm. Mhm.
curious, what's yours?
Yeah. So the earth walk for me has always been, Christ centered. The legacy for me is that um, my daily walks, that I am open to hearing the opportunity that I'm supposed to have in front of me, um, and for that legacy to carry on, the eye care, just to be kind, to for people to say, "Wow, she did a lot while she was here, and she cared every step of the way." And I know the care is overused in this hour that we're together, but it's true, and it's really who I am as a person. That my smile carries on, and everything else comes and goes, but the integrity and what you carry inside yourself is the legacy that I want to I want to carry
That's
on.
awesome. I mean, there's speaking it and then there's being it, right? And
Yeah.
being it is going. It's
Yeah.
one of those things where like people are like, oh yeah, we provide great service, okay, but do you really?
You
You
really?
know, yeah.
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah. And I think,
difference. There's a
yeah,
difference.
there is a difference. And I think what happens to, whether you're an agent or who you are, like you are attracting the people that you want to work with. And over my years of working with agents and helping them grow their business, we all at the beginning, we think that shotgun approach is like the best way. And, we're just going to get everybody, right? We're just going to go
Yeah.
and it doesn't matter. And when you can define who you are and then tell that story, that's the type of people you're going to attract. And so it's fun to connect with people, and it's like, oh my gosh, you're my people, it's just fun.
Yeah.
It's just fun. And,
Yeah.
if you're not having fun in what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Life's too short.
I agree.
It's-
That's one of the first things I learned when I got into this business. Have fun.
yeah, right. Now, Ryan's fun and no, always
Hey,
Ryan.
we survived.
Oh, yes, of course, of course. It's all
Uh,
part of it, for sure.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah.
Leah, one last question. I want to be
Mhm.
respectful of your time. I really appreciate you taking time out of the day to
Thank
come on
you.
here and to share your journey, to this
Mhm.
point. But if you could give the audience one piece of advice, any advice that you want,
Mhm.
what do you think? What would that be?
Yeah, one piece. Uh, Business-wise, I would say hire a coach. I think it is, and I think it's so important to get yourself out of your own head, right? And have conversations that can really take you to another level. And you can't normally do that without speaking to somebody else and hiring somebody to help get you to the next level. From a personal standpoint, the one thing that I would say is, get yourself right. If you're doing things you shouldn't be doing, get it right. Get on the right track. And it life is good if you make it good. And always, do your best to be happy and shed your light with somebody else. So
Oh, that's
that's what
awesome.
I got.
That's awesome. No, thank you so much, Leah, for coming on and
John,
like I
thank you for
said,
the invitation. I was like,
sharing the
wait, what?
journey.
Thank you. Yeah,
But
you're
that's
one
what.
of my faves, you know that.
Oh,
It's
aw,
true.
thank you, thank
Yeah.
you. Like I
From the
said,
day I met you, I was like, "Oh, he's just so cute. He's gonna do so well."
others may have said otherwise, but that's all right.
Hey, listen, you proved them all wrong, and look at you now.
But to your point, what you get a coach, right? I had a mentor, and I
Yes,
tell people every single day, I would not be in this business today if I didn't have Ryan.
I agree.
And just was lucky, and we connected. Tracy Chambers
Yeah.
connected us, and
Yep.
now I feel it's my duty, my obligation to extend that to whoever wants to take
Agree.
it,
I
and
agree.
take it and run with it. So,
Yep. Yep.
but that was that's
It
how I'm
can,
here.
yeah, and Elissa says it all the time. She said, "I would never get in this business if I didn't have you or if I had, somebody that helps because it can be a very lonely business.
Yeah,
And even now more so with the way business or companies are running, their brokerages and things, it's so important to connect and find somebody that will listen and help you.
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For sure, for
Yeah.
sure. Those that are watching, Leah's phone number and her website scrolling down below. Those that are listening in, if you are an agent and you just want to, pick her brain, please
Yeah.
reach out to her. If you guys
Oh,
are a buyer
yeah.
seller
Happy
and you want to
to.
use, yeah, if you want to use her to help you guys through the buying process, give her a call. Her cell phone 614-306-5050, and website is leahackerman.com. Leah, thanks so
Thank
much.
you. Thank you. It
I'll,
was good.
I'll talk to you soon.
Take care, John. We'll see you soon.
All right,
Bye.
bye.